time of this filming, I have just finished the film Netflix movie You People, which was outstanding, messaging and everything. But it got me to thinking about interracial dating and marriage and the impacts. Can people really be together coming from two different worlds? I'm Angie Roll. Stick around with me and let's talk love. Well, here are my thoughts on interracial dating. And before I dig deep on my thoughts on interracial dating, I want to say something real quick from what I saw on You People. I noticed that, and by the way, if you guys have not watched that Netflix movie You People, please go watch it. It was really, really good to me, and it was a really good learning opportunity. And one thing that I noticed that the most of the rift was between the parents. And this is a classic learning opportunity for non-interracial couples and interracial couples to not let your parents or your family members hinder you from who you want to marry or dictate who you want to date. It's important for us to keep family members out of our business because they don't have to sleep with them. They don't have to deal with anything. So it's just best to keep them out of your business, because if you let their opinions consume you, you'll end up missing the person that is truly, truly meant for you. Additionally, I want us to remember as well that if you have racist parents, let them be racist and do you in love. That is not your problem to try to fix them or fix their racism. Their racial issues and their racial tensions have nothing to do with you and who you marry and who you love. And now I know it will be difficult, but you shouldn't let that hinder you. And if you try to take that on, you will only hurt yourself in the end. Now that I got all that out of the way, back in the day, and just being total transparent and raw with you guys, back in the day, I was very ignorant to interracial dating. I truly thought that, and not because I was racist or anything, I grew up in a predominantly white area, and so I'm not racist in any standpoint. I know they say if you have to say it, then it's a little bit questionable, but I just want to throw that disclaimer out there for people. I just honestly, genuinely thought black men only dated white women because they were more timid than black women, right? They accepted and tolerated more is where I'm going with that. And I'm just being real and raw with you, and it's important to understand that as you grow, you get more educated with certain things, and you start understanding that it's not always what it seems to be. The only problem that I have now as a almost 35-year-old woman with interracial dating is when people degrade another race for their choices. Like they'll say something as this is why I date black men, or this is why I only mess with white women. If that is your preference, that is your preference. Have at it, feel good about it. But you don't have to put down another race or culture because you have had issues with that race or culture. And that is partly why I have a disgusted, compassionate outlook on Candace Owens and her disdain for the black community. She clearly was traumatized by something in her childhood. And I say that because it's evident that she has clear hatred for the black community. Most of her friends are white, her husband is white, etc. And not that that means anything, but I always thought she was probably made fun of by white people for maybe her black hair growing up or something like that. And her trauma response is to fawn and become obsessed and people pleasing with the race or culture that shunned her, right? Or maybe black people made fun of her growing up, and that's why she has a disdain for black people. I don't know, but I know something happened to her to cause her to have that type of dislike for black people that she has for no reason. And I feel like we can all disagree without degrading one another. And that is where I have a little bit compassion on her, because I don't know her story or what she's been through, but it's pretty evident that she's been through something. And for me, just growing up, I understand that growing up in a predominantly white area, that especially now my neighborhood, from what I understand, is a little bit more diversified. But when I was coming up in elementary school, it was more predominantly white. And I understand that you can feel a type of way, because I go through this with my hair. I always wanted growing up my hair to be long because that's what I saw in straight. And it wasn't until adulthood where I started embracing my natural tresses and just enjoying, even though you guys always see my hair straight most of the time, it's not in its natural state, but that's just my preference now. And I tried to unsubscribe from just doing it because that's what I saw white girls around me with the straight long hair. But I can admit now that that's partly why I wanted it, because I just thought hair was supposed to be long. I thought it was supposed to be pretty, and I thought it was supposed to be straight, and I just always wondered why my hair wasn't like that. And we all have different traumas and things that make us who we are, and so it's important for us to understand that and then be compassionate towards the person that we feel like is just acting a little bit crazy. But I say all that and use that example with Candace Owens to say, don't let your trauma dictate belittling another race or even your race. If you want to date and marry outside of your race, then have fun respectfully. But when I think of interracial dating, I think of learning and just growing and developing, right? I'm a firm believer in having a partner that can teach you and educate you, one that you can grow with and all that. And when you are dating outside of your race, you and dating with intention, you are learning. You are learning this person's culture. You are being taught what is appropriate in a culture, how to make potato salad and macaroni and cheese. But no, more seriously, just learning different backgrounds. It's like your own world tour. Now, I'm not saying you should be with somebody just for that sole purpose, but it is a benefit. And I feel like when you love a person wholeheartedly, you will learn what makes them them, and it's benefiting you because you're learning different perspectives. You're learning how different people think and feel. Yet, I do believe in being equally yoked with whoever you are with. But I don't think being equally yoked means being with the same race and liking the same things. I think it's about values. I think it's about beliefs, and I think it's about your morals. You can be a completely different race and still have the same morals and values that that person has. That's why there are black and white Republicans. That's why there are black and white Democrats. That's why there are black and white people who are in between and just want to mind their business and not be judgmental and compassionate and just different races sharing different values. By the way, that's me. I don't identify with either or. I'm me, and that's just it. But I feel like when your values align on religion, money, children, the logistics of life, it doesn't matter what demographics someone falls in. And the reason why that doesn't matter is because the core of you matches. Now, I did find on the internet when I was doing some research on this topic that 41% of mixed race couples end up divorcing as opposed to 31% of the same race. So I was like, I wonder why that is. And I believe that I didn't really dig deep for an answer. I just said that to myself. But I believe that a small portion of it is race. But I believe a larger portion of it, just marriage in general, is the fact that incompatibility. I feel like a larger portion is probably because people are not compatible, and it has really not necessarily a lot to do with race, because people don't talk about what they need to talk about before marriage. And I think premarital counseling, it should be standard across the board, because you need to discuss the hardships. You need to discuss what can come up. You need to discuss what marriage is about. And the truth is, when you are interracial, you will have different hardships than someone who is not interracial. And the reason is because society still sees color. Society will make it hard for you to navigate your mixed children's world, right? If you're a black and white couple and you have a mixed child, like, their world is changed because they're not accepted by black people sometimes, and they're not accepted by white people sometimes. And when you don't prep for that, you end up divorced. And so I think just standard across the board, there are things that you need to be talking about. And when you're of interracial relationship, you need to be having those conversations of how we're going to raise the children. What are we going to making sure that they are in tune with both cultures. I think the key to interracial dating also is being true to yourself. And I remember growing up, people always said I sounded white. When I wish I could just like go back in time and tap my little self, my little 7, 8 year old Angie on the shoulder and say, girl, ignore that BS. Because how do you sound white? Why can't I just talk proper? And see, that's what I'm talking about. When I grew up, I went to school with a little bit of black kids that came from a side of town. They came over and they were kind of just different than me. And it was, well, you talk white, or you're this, or you're that. And it really made me feel away, and it would make any child feel away. But I was so insecure and so stupid that I learned to change my voice over time. So I sounded more like a black girl. And I hate that I did that to myself. Not saying that I don't sound proper or can't talk proper, because I can definitely turn it on and I can turn it off when I need to. Or if I'm just chilling around my family, I definitely turn the properness off. But you can definitely tell in my voice, regardless whether I'm talking with some sense or not some sense, that I'm a black woman. But be true to yourself. It's really, really important. Don't be somebody that you aren't. Don't put on just to impress people. And that's what I did. In total transparency, guys, I think that is the true key to successfully dating outside of your race. I've never been in an interracial relationship myself, but I have family members who have been in interracial relationships, and guess what? I can tell you that it does work. It does work. It can work as long as you have two willing individuals that understand that it's not that you can't see color. When people say, I don't see color, I see that you're white, I see that you're black, but I'm choosing to see what's on the inside of you. I know you're white. I know you're different than me. I know you may not know how to make something like my grandma makes it, or my great grandma makes it, or my mom makes it. I get that. But I'm willing to understand your perspective and your side of things. I think it's imperative. And also, I think this new generation really doesn't give a crap as much as we think they do about color. But I do think it's imperative that we change the narrative on focusing less on color and more on who that person is, and if they're making your child happy, if they're making your child content, are they adding value to your child's life? I feel like there is always going to be a barrier because somebody's mom or grandpa is going to be a racist. It's not going away, which is why I totally believe it is a learned behavior. People don't just come out of the womb racist. They're taught to not like black folks. They're taught to not like white folks, because there are some racist black people too, just off of what they've been through. And I don't really have the answers on how to change the narrative of interracial dating. I think education and continuing the conversation and understanding where people are coming from, I think that is how we can continue and be able to work together as a team, because sometimes misconceptions happen because there's no communication, there's no talking about it and embracing differences. And these are just my thoughts on interracial dating. I would love to know your thoughts. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're on social media, I would love to know your thoughts on what you think of interracial dating. Why do you think people have such a problem with interracial dating, and how do you think the narrative can be changed? Like I said, I really truly believe it's just about continuing the conversation, not shying away from things, and understanding people's truth. If we just took the time to just understand where somebody is coming from, I can see that, because a lot of people, white and black people, they don't take the time to see, you know what, it is a little bit different for you. It's different for all of us. It's different for the different cultures and Asians, and there was a lot of Asian hate at one point, right? And in just in general. And if we just take the time to step outside of ourselves and what we're going through, and that's this, just lack compassion. We lack empathy. We lack the ability to be able to place ourselves in somebody's shoes and say, wait a minute, that is wrong. Or wait a minute, I can see, but instead we see statistics and it's like, oh no, cops are killing white people more than black people. Whatever whatever it is, like, why can we just stop for one moment in 1 second and understand? White people go through stuff just as much as black people do, just as much as Asians do. And we all need to be aware of people's struggles and be accepting of those struggles and have the conversation on how we can minimize those struggles. So like I said, this is just my thought on interracial dating. I don't have an issue with it. I don't see why anybody else would have an issue with it or why it would bother somebody else. It could just be because maybe they had somebody leave them for a white woman or a black man or whatever the case may be, and now that's your trigger seeing it. It could be that. It could just be because you grew up and you don't understand that two different races can coexist. They can be married and it can work. You just lack understanding. It could be a plethora of reasons of why you have an issue with interracial dating. But again, I think in the key to relationships in general, just life in general, is being self-aware of understanding why you think the way that you think, why you do what you do. And then you can go from there. But you have to be self-aware and understanding that if you have a problem with it, it's a you problem. Because guess what? That white woman and that black man, or that white man and that black woman, they're living their life and they're having a good time. And you're not going to stop it because you want to be ugly. So let it be what it is. Their love, their story. And I think we just need to respect that. And I'm here for it. What I'm here for is not whether you are two black people or two white people or two Asians. I'm here for, are you doing the work to make it last forever? Are you learning each other? How is your intimacy level? Not sex, your connection. That's what I'm here for. And I think we just need to be focused on that and creating that within ourselves and not focused on what our other people are doing. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. It's just one of those episodes where I kind of just lighten the mood a little bit, where I'm not really teaching, but it's just off topic, something about relationships. And so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you join the conversation and let me know your thoughts on interracial dating. Did you have a problem at one time? How did you overcome it? Did you learn triggers? Please let me know your thoughts. And I'm Angie Roll, the teen wife that turned my struggles into strength, marital woes into wins, and made the mistakes so you don't have to. I'll see you all next week as we talk about getting over first date awkwardness.